Bună ziua, Andrea. Bine ai venit la Brave. Discover you. Ne pare bine să te adiem kawas pete aici.
Hi, your Romanian is so good. I'm so proud of you.
Multimusk. For those of you that don't speak Romanian, I just wish Andrea a good day. Welcome to Brave Discover You, and let her know how glad we are to have you as our guest tonight.
You.
Andrea, we would like to jump right into it. Here we are on week 2 of quarter 4 of the Brave program, and we would love to hear a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hi. My name is Andrea. I'm a wife, a mom, and a businesswoman. I just started to sell real estate. I got my license in May, and I signed up with HomeSmart mid-May, and since then I've been unstoppable.
Yeah,
And by the way, I'm a Seattle agent for those maybe
yeah,
who.
yeah. Absolutely. You were sharing a little bit earlier about you'd mentioned that you had gone on a listing appointment, and can you tell us how everything went with that?
Yes. So a little bit of background story. Before I jumped in real estate, I've been in the senior care industry for about 8 or 9 years. So I own a small care facility for seniors, and that's how I started in real estate. This is kind of my niche
Hmm.
because I know the industry very well. So I started working my sphere of interest, like the senior care industry, and I'm getting listing after listing in this industry. And something that I learned from you is that to always have listing agreements with you when you go
Right.
to appointment, right? People
Yeah.
say, come and stop by and see my home, maybe I'm going to sell. But actually, it helps to have those listing agreements with you because you have to help the seller, sorry, to make a decision sometimes.
Right.
uh, that's what I did. I went to see one of those care facilities, and there was the sister of the owner. And she's like, "Can you come and see mine? If you have time, maybe you can sell mine as well." I'm like, "Sure, let's go." And then as we were talking, and she's like, the house across the street is owned by my sister, and she bought
Uh,
it in December, but she wants to sell it. Do you
yeah.
sell residential?
Wow.
Yes. So we
And
went and got
because you
that
were
one.
prepared, you were ready to go right then, and you eliminate. What's great about that, Andrea, is that sometimes when you meet somebody and they talk about it and they go and you say something like, "Oh, I'll get with you later," or "Let's pick another day." What happens is sometimes they'll do research. They may find another
Exactly.
agent, and because you were able to go right away, you beat Zillow and all the money that anybody spends on that. You were right there and you were ready to go, and you're more powerful than anything. So no, it's
Right.
excellent.
And, as they were signing the listing agreement, they mentioned and they said, "Oh, my son is a realtor in Seattle with Sotheby's." And my heart
Ah,
dropped a little bit
yeah,
because I felt like, "Oh my gosh." But then they said, "Well, he doesn't know anything about this industry, so I'm not going to sell with him."
yeah,
So, I'm like,
good.
"Well, then I got it for
But
good because I deserve it."
well, then that's true. Then if you wouldn't have had your paperwork and you'd been like, "Oh yeah, that's great. We'll meet tomorrow," they may have reached out to their son. And of
Yes,
course,
exactly.
it's always better, to not. You don't want to work with family. You
Yeah,
can't.
and it's a business. It's a
Yeah,
very sensitive type of business because you take care of vulnerable adults, right? And this
yeah.
care facilities, and not everybody is sensible about that, and not everybody knows how to sell them. It's not only real estate. You actually are working two industries, really. So
Right, because
yeah,
you're selling. These are existing businesses you're selling. Then,
yes, these are
yeah,
business opportunities. Yes,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. They get paid for the business and then for the real estate. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's a wonderful story. Real quick, we'll go through our normal thing here, and we'd love to learn for you. So, and some of it you may have already said, but Andrea, what were your victories last week?
Well, everybody talks about victory. So actually, last week was a really hard week for me, and maybe I should talk about that because a lot of agents they expect to hear only the good
Right.
stories. So I'll start with that if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
So one thing that happened to me last week was that I was getting ready to put an offer on a house for a client. I worked with this clients for about 2 months. I showed them many homes. They were very undecided. They wanted a very particular property. so they can convert it into one of these care facilities. So we
Mm-hmm.
looked and looked for homes, and we actually put a couple of offers, and they wanted to lowball. And finally, I negotiated a really good deal for them, like 40,000 less than
Yeah.
asking
Wow.
price. And then like they,
Wine bar.
yeah, and then right before I sent the offer, and they asked me, so will you be like the other agents and pay half of our
Mm.
housing costs? I'm like, hold on a second, we never talked about this, and no, I don't do that. I
Yeah.
worked hard, and I said, what if I would hire you to do some type of job for me, and at the end I would say, you know what, because I gave you a job, please give me half of the money back, because otherwise you wouldn't have had a job.
Right.
I said, that's not how it works. So finally, they tried to get the lender to maybe give them a rebate. The lender didn't want to do that either. So they said, well, we're not gonna buy anymore. So I
Wow.
was a
Yeah.
little bit disappointed, a little bit upset, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I want to do the best for this industry. I don't want
Right.
to set the path for other agents. I don't want people to go to all these agents and say, hey, Andrea gave me a rebate, and you know, I just didn't want to do that.
It
So
yeah, it's true. And that, that's one of the things that if you once you go down the path of being a rebate agent, it's it kills
exactly.
your business because they'll tell their friend, "Oh yeah, we did this thing with Andrea and she cut her commission in half." And
Yeah, and
and
I
then now
didn't
you
want
have
to
that
do
reputation and that's what you start to attract, you know?
exactly. And I didn't want to do that because people have to understand that we work hard. I mean, it's all,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
I would I would submit to you, Andrea, that that is a victory because you know your value and you stood your worth. And there's
That's what my
vic
husband said.
yeah,
You knew your value. You said no. That's okay. They'll respect you. If they're ready
right.
to buy in the
Oh,
future, they'll come back to you.
one
But on the other
yeah.
hand, yes, last week I was showing some homes to one of my clients. It was a Saturday, and I really didn't want to work on that Saturday, but
Mhm.
it was the only time off they had. So I showed them a couple of homes, and as I was getting ready to lock one of the houses, a couple walks to me, and they are like, hey, can we see this house? We don't have a broker. I'm like, are you a neighbor? What are you? And they
Yeah.
said, we're looking to buy. I said, okay, come in. So I lost one, but I gained one.
Yep. And
And it is what it is.
exactly, and well, you know what, and that's being engaged in the business. It's interesting because sometimes you you do all this work to get business, and then maybe something doesn't work out, but you happen to go to the gas station and run into. It's so weird how it's a real phrase. It's called being engaged. It's a real thing that top national rock stars, they call it engaged in the business. They
Yeah.
if you saw that little comment I made earlier, I think you'd comment on it, where I had forgotten about the concept of if you have no business, just go preview homes.
Yeah,
That I had forgotten about that. I hadn't talked about that in years, but it is a real thing that if
it
you have
is.
nothing going on and you engage in the business, you begin to attract business. I don't it's a spiritual thing or something, but
I
it
know. And actually, because like the two clients that I lost last week, they were very picky. So a lot of the homes that I showed to them, I previewed them, and I previewed not a lot of more homes that I didn't even show to them. But now when I talk to other clients, I'm like, oh, I've seen that house before,
yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
not what you're looking for. So that actually cuts off the
It
time for me because I
you
don't have to go take them to those homes, and it
right.
makes me an expert in the area.
And you become I don't know if you do any Zillow advertising, so I'm not
I
necessarily saying
do.
Zillow, but internet advertising.
I do a lot of social media.
Right, but when people call you and you know that they're like, "Hey, I'm thinking about this house." Oh yeah, I've seen that house. I know that house. I know that house. I've been in that house.
Exactly.
You become more powerful than those Zillow sites, and that brings value to the table. So I just submit to you, I think it was a victory.
Thank
Sometimes,
you.
yeah. So what? So that may be the same answer to the next thing of, is that all? Was that also your challenges last week, or anything else
Yes,
stand
it
out?
was. Yeah.
Victory and
Also,
challenges.
another challenge that I have personally, and this is more personal than business, is to learn to actually do it all. Like
Yeah.
it's a little bit hard for me because I have a 3-year old, I have another business, and I have real estate, and
Hmm.
I have to learn how to do it all, juggle. But
Yeah.
Fortunately, I have really good friends who support me, and they are my cheerleaders. Like one of them just called me. It's like, "Hey, I made soup. Stop by. Come and get a
Yeah.
pot of soup. Take it home." So that frees up a lot of my time tonight, right? Because I have time to do advertising or other things.
Right.
So at least I have cheerleaders. That's really
Yeah.
important.
No, absolutely. A support structure around you is very important. What Andrea, so here we are. We got the next week coming up. What are your goals for this week?
Well, tomorrow I have another appointment listing.
Yeah.
So you know what I did? I got a really cool listing, one of these care facilities, and it was like it's like $1.6 million
Mm-hmm.
home. So I sent a postcard to about 1,000 care facilities, and I advertised, "Hey, I have this listing. If you know anybody who wants to buy." But it was actually a way for me to get listings. So
Yeah.
now all these people are calling me like crazy. They're like, "Okay, if you can get 1.6 for them, maybe you can get
Get it. Yeah.
one or." So now I'm getting all these calls, and it's really exciting. And I had to start a team because I wanted to have a team behind me to help
Right.
me. I'm not very good at following up, but my partner is.
Right.
So now yeah.
No, that's good. And
So my
you're
goal for next week is to get more listings.
yeah, get more get more list. I think that's everybody. Like more
I
business, more listings. What about uh, do you have any personal goals this week that you're shooting for? Stuff you want to do in your life?
Yes, I'm going to a bridal shower this Saturday. I haven't been to a party in
Yeah.
like many, many months. So finally, little by little, I'm going back in the community with my friends. And yeah,
Yeah. No, it's I was talking the other day. I talked to a lot of agent. I always look for agents that sell way more than me, and I'm like, teach me. I'm just a sponge to anybody. And there's a group out of actually Utah. They're like 1,000 houses a year team. Yeah, it's insane. And I was similar like what you were saying, and they do not work 7 days a week. They take a day off. They
that
it's consistent with every mega superstar. I'm talking, hundreds
yeah,
of homes a year. That not a single one of them do that 7 day, 24 hour. And I'm bad. Rebuke. I do it 7 days a week, but that it's good that like
we
with the
need to set a day,
yeah
apply for us, and yeah, have some
it
time and recharge.
yeah
Really. Like for
yeah
example, I try not to work on Sundays.
yeah
I mean, if I have to send a listing, that's fine. I'm on my computer, but I'm trying not to do any showings or appointments. But then on Monday, honestly, like on Sunday evening, when I do, I think of what I have to do on Monday, I miss it. I can't wait for Monday
yeah.
so I can get in and do
I,
it. And,
I love that you say that because one thing I do love about real estate is that I feel those that are engaged in the business and love what we do. We're all the same way. It's like it's Monday.
yeah,
The banks are opening up.
that's
we can
real.
we
Yeah,
can
I
we can
know,
and
exactly.
yeah, and everyone else are all like, oh, I hate Monday. Oh, Mondays. I don't want to
Yeah,
go. I told a guy one time. I saw him on social media. He made a comment like that. He was like, man, I really don't want to go to work tomorrow. I was like, then you need to find a different job if
yeah.
you don't want to
Don't do
go.
what you like. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Do so Andrea, what can we do as a group to help you hit your goals and get new listings?
maybe teach me a way to be better at following up with like leads. Today I went to a class and it was a really good class.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, our preferred lender held that class, and they were saying, when you guys send us a lead, it's so precious to us. And we hold on to it and we do all these things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. I have to learn to be better at
Do
following
you
up
are
with my
you
lead.
when you let's for example, let's say that right now you've got 20 prospective buyers and sellers, and those are your leads that you're working. Are you as for your personal self? Are you more about digital notifications or do you like visual notifications?
Try to, so like when somebody calls me and say, hey, I gave your number to a friend of mine. I asked for their number. I call them. I introduce myself. Then I follow up with a text message and I
Mm-hmm.
say, for wanting to work with me. I know you have choices. I appreciate that you want to work with me. And then I email them and I start the process, you know. But sometimes like people are not 100% sure they want to buy or sell. And I'm not pushy at all. I'm like, I'm not pushy. I hate when people try to sell something to
Right.
me. It's so obvious. So I try not to be like that. And sometimes it's maybe I'm losing a client because of that. Or sometimes I'm so surprised. They come back to me and they say, hey, it's been 2 months and finally, yes, we got the financing and I'm ready to buy. I'm like, oh my gosh, I
Right.
even forgot about
But
you, you
but do
know?
you? So I'm saying for you, if you had those and you're wanting to, because you're wanting to have some kind of a follow up system. I'm saying, do you personally, do you like
Ooh,
visual things, like for example, a day planner, or do you want electronic things? What works better for you? Like
electronic, I think it's easier for me.
then,
Now I learned something
mhm,
is to make up my calendar for a whole month and then
right.
take a picture of it and put it on my screen. So when I,
Well, your Google, then what you can do if you do the calendar is simply in your just Google Calendar, you can set yourself up alerts. So when you talk to someone, you say, I've got to follow up with them on Monday. Give yourself a Google Calendar, it'll ding you. But don't do what I do because I'm very bad about making, like, for example, if I have a buyer that's like, okay, well, I had a buyer, it's called 250,000K investor.
okay,
That meant at the time that meant that he was looking for a $250,000 condo in an area called Bay Winds, but he didn't get back to me for like 6 months. So when he called me, I'm like, what is this? Like I didn't know what I didn't know one 250K, that didn't mean anything to me. So I'm saying don't learn from me on shorthanding what they are because I forget. So
yeah.
the lesson I'm learning is you got to
Always
do
Google
notes.
contacts like that, actually, like the name and then the
Yeah.
area what they are looking for and the
Yes.
budget.
Yes.
That's what I
Exactly.
do. You know,
So,
I have to go through my contacts all the time, so I can remind myself.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us tonight.
Sure.
And it's always good to talk to you. I know we've talked before, and you inspire me when I hear these
Oh,
big
thank you. You inspired me, and I learned so much from you.
one point
Uh,
six million.
and I actually was talking to my partner on the way home, and I'm like, I have an interview. He's like, why are you doing an interview? I said, well, I'm interviewing a rock star in Pensacola. He's like, oh, really? So, you know, it's good. We learn from each other, and it's so good to have
Absolutely.
somebody, even if it's so far away. And by the way, you have to move to Seattle. You rock the Seattle
I know,
market.
I know, I know. Every time I hear your deals, I'm like, okay, I'll get like I've got well, I had like four go under contract, and if you add all four up, it's like maybe like
One
six
deal
hundred
here.
k. Like no, like half of your deals, and I'm like, yeah, I sold
Well,
four
not
houses.
imagine that all my deals are like
Yeah,
1.6 too. I have two right now, two listings that are very high end, but I've done like 335,
yeah,
800
I
less,
know. Well,
it's, I'll
it's
take
inspiring.
anybody.
I know. But anyway, so thank you so much again. Merci, Andrea Osada Buna.
My pleasure. Un piacere.
Yeah. Ah, yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.